Welcome back to this week's edition of Berry and Birders.
This place is amazing. Who knew that Salt Lake City was really a lake?
I mean, there was a lake here, there were mountains here, there was a lot of stuff to see. So this was from our trip to Utah earlier this month or last month. We went to Antelope Island State Park, which is a small island that is connected to the causeway that you can see from the deserts around the dry area around Salt Lake City. And there was just a panoply of birds, just so many different things. Here we've got as many black-necked stilts as I've ever seen in my life, along with a whole lot of widgeon, which we'll get to more in a bit and see them. We can see them a little bit better here. You can see the thin necks on some of them, kind of the pale bill with the dark tips. On some of them, you can see kind of the white patch in the wings on some of those drakes in the middle. But this was a very exciting place to see, just for a spectacle of the amount of birds that there were.
Yeah, it was practically impossible to count them. It just was a chore, but a delightful chore. Delightful problem to have.
If I said that was as many black-necked stilts as I'd probably ever seen in my life, here's as many American avocets as I've ever seen in my life. Those are all avocets. That's probably a calculable percentage of the entire American population. I looked up, I think there's maybe, I don't remember how many avocets there are across the country, but that was a good number of them. And then you went and looked on the other side of the road, and this is just shovelers, a straight up vertigo amount of shovelers just spinning around in circles that's practically making you dizzy and flip into the twilight zone. Shovelers, shovelers, shovelers. If you go to Muskegon Wastewater here in South or in West Michigan, you can see shovelers in this concentration. Aside from there, I've never seen as many shovelers in my life. I took a little test drive on could these be cinnamon teal, but if you stare at them long enough, those bills are long enough that they're basically just all eclipse plumage or female type shovelers just arrayed across the mudflats, an amazing number. And then we got from the mudflats onto Antelope Island. And what was the first thing we saw when we hit Antelope Island?
Antelope.
Okay. What was the second thing we saw when we got to Antelope Island?
Bugs.
Bugs, a whole lot of bugs that you can see that these bison are, there's probably 1 or 2 year old males. They're just kind of testing their strength and just stirring up a cloud of bugs. That's for sure. I'm not quite sure how these things don't put their eyes out by the time by the second time they do this. Now we get to the full, let's paw up some grass. Oh, let's just pee all over the place. Oh, wait a second. Why don't I just go ahead and wallow in a puddle of my own pee? Kristen's dog Lanny right now is saying, wait a second, you can do that? How did I not know this? This is going to take my grass rolls to an entirely new level. Fortunately, she's not here as we record. Unfortunately, I don't think she understands what we say because, I don't need a pee-smelling dog any more than those buffalo need a pee-smelling buffalo. But apparently they decided this was the time and this was the place for such considerations.
You know, these buffalo are incredibly tame. Like, you can get quite close to them. I don't recommend it, but you can. The rangers get nervous.
Yeah, we stayed in the car. There's enough of them we could see them from the car. Here's the antelope of Antelope Island running away, saying that, I'm not so sure about you guys. But speaking of tame, this was not in the car. We were just walking around, getting pretty close to the shoreline to look at the birds, and we turned around and there's a buck mule deer right there. A 9-point mule deer, which was a pretty incredible bird. This is speaking of kind of birds there or things that might be hunted. This is a chukar. These things are native to somewhere in Central Asia and was introduced for kind of hunting, presumably. You can see why they might have done that. These are large quail. These are probably double the weight of a bobwhite and kind of almost probably close to rough grouse size, though I haven't actually looked up what those numbers are. He's just sitting here calling attention to himself. Oh, wait a second. There's other birds out here that like to hunt chukars. Here's a prairie falcon that it would definitely be interested in a nice, tasty quail. It would be interested in a meadowlark, too, that we were able to kind of drive along the road and drive right up to a singing western meadowlark with another one answering in the background. That if you want to kind of get deep into the weeds, you can talk about how much yellow is on the malar, that tract of feathers kind of between the ear and the throat. Or you can just go out west and listen to western meadowlarks where they're supposed to be and not have to worry about, is this western, is this eastern. Definitely this is a sandier colored bird than what our eastern meadowlarks are here in the central Midwest. Another bird that we get and swear at a lot in the Midwest is cowbirds. And you can see why the cowbirds do what they do, which is dump their eggs in other birds' nests, because these birds follow the buffalo. We saw those head-scratching, pea-rolling buffalo at the outset stirring up a whole lot of bugs, and that cowbird was hoping to find bugs. Something else that would love to find bugs, what did we find here, Kristen?
These are amazing lifer owls for me.
Burrowing owls. We thought there were two, then we thought there were three, and then we came to the conclusion that there were two, and then the video shows that there were actually three. I was tempted to walk out there, but it's like, well, that was probably a nest box that was placed, and we probably shouldn't flush some pretty uncommon birds. Though there, you can see checklists that have double-digit burrowing owls at this location. Speaking of birds you can see in double digits, here's red-necked Phalarope. You can see both immature and eventually we're going to see adults as well.
So where's the redneck, Matt?
Well, we'll see you in spring. That's kind of like how red Phalarope is called gray Phalarope in Britain, because you never actually see the color on these things in the fall. But adult in the front, immatures in the back with the darker back there. But these are shorebirds that swim along like ducks. They're kind of got that head bobbing motion that's, I don't even know what that looks like, a little wind-up toy, honestly, as they're just running along or just running along in the water and picking up bugs. You can see the underwings. Red Phalarope, aka gray Phalarope, has much paler underwings. These birds have darker underwings than what red Phalarope would show. Here's some more of the Phalaropes, and they're kind of swimming in front of more of the winter plumaged or immature avocets that are just kind of a very picturesque scene as these birds feed as it's getting close to dusk on just countless midges. There were millions of midges. Kristen was just stirring them up by the cloud, by the plague amounts as we walked along.
Yeah, it was really fun to take your feet and just walk through them because they would stir up and you couldn't even see through how thick they were. And then as soon as you stopped, they would settle again like a blanket.
A whole lot of blanket full of protein for all these birds. If you have a chance, we highly recommend experiencing Antelope Island, Salt Lake, Utah.
Yeah, this place was truly amazing.
We'll see you next time.